Hello? Hello? Is anybody home? I think we forgot something, guys. Weather stripping is missing all the way around. And then go to close it, and this doesn't want to latch right. I'm gonna go upstairs first. I'm gonna get started. See no handrails anywhere in here, but you can see how big this lip is right on the top stair. So is that what you want with no handrails? A big old trip hazard right as you start going down. And as we look up, looking at the air return right there, it doesn't have any filters inside of it. A lot of the smoke detectors have been replaced recently. I thought it was funny that they took out the light kits in the bedrooms and put smoke detectors in there. I guess better safe than sorry. Another thing I wanted to note, they put some new flooring in here. They took down all the door stops. There's no door stops left in the house. Again, no door stop. So this long bedroom, again, with no door stops. Nothing over here. We've had some retexture work around this electrical outlet. You can see the texture is a little bit different than all the rest of it. So the bathroom and the hallway up here is to serve these 3 bedrooms. And there's a few things going on here. So one, the water was spitting a lot when I was running it. That has kind of cleared up a little bit. Nothing is really lined up in this bathroom very well. There's nothing really flows very good. We have a skylight up there that's been painted from the inside, so whoever painted this little chase here didn't tape off the skylight, so that's dirty. This little guy, the door rubs on the bottom, so the hinges have dropped. So it needs to be lifted up a little bit so it doesn't rub anymore. Kind of rough plumbing work here. Got an open hole into the wall cavity there. We're missing an angle stop shutoff at the hot side up here on the second floor bathroom. Now we don't have a backsplash, so anything splashing back here, it's going right onto sheetrock. Maybe toilet in this bathroom. Give it a little wiggle. You don't want to see that water moving a lot. This one's pretty solid. The ones downstairs, not so much. We check the tanks too. I want to make sure that they're nice and tight down here. Sometimes it just takes a couple little turns with our hands down there on those nuts. You guys can see that. That's what you need to turn it on, just to tighten these tanks up a little bit. Sometimes that's all it takes. And sometimes we find that they're missing nuts altogether, and that's a bad deal. So that's why I put my hands down there and check. Again, with the texturing around the shower, we've had some work done here. You can see the tile and the grout work is very subpar. Look at all those cracks. Missing angle stop shut off again here at the toilet. Now this is black trim holding in the tile, and up here at the soap rack, you can see they just painted over some areas of it, so I wouldn't expect that paint to last very long. This caulking is very subpar. Like, it's not even cleaned up yet. A lot of these joints are overcocked. You got too much stuff going on. And around the bathtub, look at that big gap. Look at that. It is like a millimeter by the tub spout gap here. But as you go around to the back side of the tub, look at how big that gap is. That's about a 1/2 inch to a 3/4 inch back there in that corner. That's ridiculous. Way too much. Way too much caulking. Steel tub, again with some of the glorious work that they did in the corners. Now this is going to trap water, this is going to trap moisture. You just left a bare wood edge on your trim right next to the tub. Maybe you can see the angle there better of all the gaps. That is about a 3/4 inch caulking gap on the back side of the tub. Look how skinny it gets over by the tub spout gap. Somebody wasn't doing a very good job of leveling this out here. You can see all the grout that's smeared all over the tile. And then, yeah, you got your bare wood trim down there right next to the tub. Your really crappy filling in of the flooring in that area. Hey, Mr. Cricket, what's up? Chimney. So, this corner, no trim. got trim over here, but they did not finish the trim in this corner. So there's a few issues in here. There's no bathroom fan, not the end of the world. It's built in the 80s. We were kind of putting them in at that time, but not always. They do have a window, so you're expected to open that window up every time you shower. What we have problems with is these are usually kids' bathrooms, and kids aren't that tall. So how are they supposed to open that window up when they're taking a shower? It just doesn't happen. All right, so going downstairs again. We're gonna work our way to the left. So we've got what's considered the primary bedroom here with French doors. There's no door knob on the doors. It's just a key and a deadbolt right here to close the door. Yeah, you got about a 1/4 inch gap. It doesn't really close. These plates are loose. This one's been taped on. Yeah, that's Scotch tape. Classy. So then we have our bathroom here, and I look around, make sure we don't have any water damage from any flooding out of the bathroom. It's kind of the first thing I look for when I go into a bathroom. Second thing, look at these hinges. Look at how beaten up and eaten up they are. I think they swapped this door and turned it around. That's why they cut these pieces out, and it doesn't land very properly. So when we go to shut this door, it doesn't want to stay shut. Keeps pushing out. Usually that's an issue with the hinges not lining up properly, and those hinges want to push that door back in. But on the bathroom, let's look at the faucet. Yeah, you think that's a big deal? They did it in the other bathroom too. So I ran the water, checked everything underneath. Yeah, the water was doing that, spitting and spraying all over me. No P-trap. I guess they didn't want to put a P-trap in here. They replaced one of the angle stops, but didn't actually put a P-trap in here. And look, this is just a catch. It's not even connected really. This is just like catching the top pipe and it's dropping into there. So if anything slows down your drain right here, it's just coming right back out. That's terrible. That's a very bad deal. Nice little crack there too. Now we do have a backsplash here. Doors don't line up very properly. Got a big gap right in the middle. Now this toilet is loose on the ground. So when I go like this, I'm getting some of that water sloshing around. It's telling me that it's loose on the ground. So I look at the caulking joint. There's a gap there, so it didn't hold. So whatever happened, this separated, and we need to redo this caulking joint down here. So we pull up these nuts on each side, lift the toilet up, and then reapply the sealant here and smush it back down, and that'll help hold it onto these vinyl floors. Also, I'm looking in the shower. Most of the time they put these in, don't put shower rods up. They figure it's your responsibility to worry about it, so don't move in here and thinking that you can take a shower right away without spraying water all over the floor. You might want to get a few other things looked at first before you take a shower too, like those big gaps underneath the tile here. Any water that splashes on the floor has a very good possibility of running back underneath the tile. All these areas, even back there. Now that's wide open to the edge of your vinyl flooring. And again, you can see how wonderful of a grout job they did. The tile isn't even straight. Looks terrible. The flooring in here, it's not even. You can see that big bump right there. So when I ran water in the shower, we still have some water right here. It's ponding. It's not going in. We've got a bump right here, and then we have another bump right there. So it's mainly ponding in the bottom section there, but it does have a little bit of a lip here. The grout gaps are just crazy. Like, I don't think anybody's ever used a shower before, but I don't think anybody ever will, because it's got to be completely redone before anybody uses it. Now, what I want to show you about this drain is unusual too. You see this thing is grouted in? Yeah, this drain is meant to be taken off. There's a hair screen down in there. It's like a little cup that you can remove to get your hair out of the drain. It's good idea, right? Good option. Well, it's a good option if you can take the drain cover off. But if you're gonna grout it, tape it, not open it up, I can't get it off. I can't look in there. Nobody can take their hair out. So this is just gonna build up with a bunch of crap until you clean that out of there. So whoever put that in there wasn't even thinking about how to do it right. More terrible grout lines. And always look back at the step. The step is usually where they miss grout. Because they're not looking, you're not looking. Look at that big chunk right there. They don't think anybody else is going to notice it. So they don't focus on it too much. But it's usually really ugly. So yeah, this soap tray or whatever, it's about the same deal. Black paint on that. So this is a metal piece of trim on the top and on the side, but what they did is they just painted over the grout. So how well is that paint going to hold on the grout? I guess it depends on what paint you used. I'm thinking it was the same paint that they used for the fireplace, but I'll get there in a second. So these bathrooms from '87 probably had GFI protection in the bathrooms, because this looks like an old GFI outlet. But when we stick it in here, test it, we have power, nothing's tripping. Push the test button, push the reset button, nothing. There's a bunch of gunk built up on the inside of this outlet too over the years. So this guy we're gonna recommend removing and replacing, and it likely protects the other bathrooms upstairs, but if it doesn't, we would like to replace the ones in the other bathrooms as well to make sure that they're all GFI protected. Now there's another hallway bathroom over here, right to the side, and we've got the same issues with the toilet going on. This one wasn't even sealed on the bottom, so it's very loose when we test it. Water sloshing around in there. Check the angle stop, make sure the angle stop's open, make sure the tank is tight. No issues with that. Now we definitely can see some of the sheetrock work, the texturing that they did in the bathroom here. It's gonna stick out until you guys put another coat of paint on it. Look at all those sharp edges. It's not cleaned up. It was just like a quick coat of paint and texture, and that's it. And then no doorstop. So this bathroom, you do have a vent, fart fan. They put a register, HVAC register over the top of it, which it's stripped out, so you can't screw it up in there. And the fan itself works. It's just really quiet. It's an old fan. You can replace the innards inside that fan or just get a whole new fan. It is functional though. But with this bathroom, I've got the same issue. How does that happen? Really? Who didn't test this? Who doesn't test this stuff? Or who did test it and said, oh, it's fine, don't worry about it. No overflows in the sinks. It's pretty typical. So you're gonna run the water up here. Some kid gets this running and you plug it, it's gonna overflow and you're gonna have a mess. It's just the design of it. You can see the big old gap in the cabinet doors here as well. This drain is a little better. At least we have a trap. It's not a very good setup though. Could have did a lot cleaner than this. We've got spray all over the place. They redid a couple of the angle stops in here with SharkBites. Yeah, I don't like this. We got a SharkBite in here connecting to the wall, and then we have another SharkBite coming up. This is really subpar in my opinion. If a real plumber was to do this, I don't think you'd be seeing a lot of these SharkBites. You'd be seeing some actually soldered connections or you know, some compression fittings, something a little bit more than a SharkBite. But I don't trust these. These are going to move around too much. Your water level just keeps going up, and it's going to come out the top. Yeah. Nowhere for it to go, so we just want to make sure everything's draining good. Pull that. Little water drips down here, but you can see all the spackle mess that they made back there, or the mud mess. All the sharp edges still. And this is not GFI outlet, but it probably is connected to the other one, but it's not tripping today. Didn't clean up the mud around the door frames either. It was pretty rough. The hallway right here, we've got some built-in shelves on the left side. And they didn't finish painting below the shelf. Probably not the end of the world, but we've got a huge flooring gap back there in the corner. You could just finish this up a little better. Go a long ways. So in the living room here, we're testing all the outlets. These are the original screen doors or sliding doors. There's no screens on either of them today. The mechanisms are a little bit worn out. So the latch doesn't quite want to latch properly unless we really push the door in like that. So all it does is grabs right there. Doesn't quite make a good latch, but if we push it in and then latch it, now it connects. But that's still something definitely that we put in the report for repair or replacement. You can see the weather stripping is just shot in these doors. That seal's been pushed in. You can see it comes down here and then it disappears. So both these doors are in need of some repair, if not replacement. Now the fireplace, it's a really nice looking fireplace. I don't like that you have wood so close to the fireplace. This is a wood burning fireplace, right? So you're gonna have embers flying, popping, all that hoorah, and some of that could pop over here and land right next to this wood. Next thing you know, you got a fireplace on fire. Another thing I'm not really sure about is they painted this thing. They painted this fireplace, right? You can see where they didn't paint it very thick in some areas. It's kind of thin, but they painted that. They painted the rack, the back. This is just dirty up there. They don't have it locked out, so you can still see up the flue, but it's dirty. It needs to be cleaned. We need to get all that gunk out of there. But I'm telling you, if you didn't use the right paint, this could be flammable paint. Well, they missed some parts over here where you can still see the metal underneath it. So it might as well be the same paint that they used upstairs in the bathroom, you know, and you can't just use paint anywhere. It's got to be the appropriate type of paint. Kitchen itself, we're looking at the drawers. Sometimes it sits level, sometimes it doesn't. Very loose. Dishwasher itself is brand new. Tried to start it for a cycle and nothing happened. It's loose in the cabinet, so there's nothing holding this thing in. Just slides in and out. No backsplash in the kitchen, so whatever splatters on the back wall there, it's going to get absorbed into the wall. Got an air gap for the dishwasher here. These cabinet doors do not close all the way. See, they're still sticking out a tad. And this bottom trim piece is keeping them from going in flat. So that thing got pushed together on the bottom. And then you got this contraption, whatever they put together by the garbage disposal. This flex pipe right here doesn't need to be here. And this drain is actually lower than this drain. So your water level has got to get up higher than this drain to even get out. So you need to get somebody in here to redo this mess. That's not going to be good long term. They did caulk around the sink. We're good with that. You know, the sink, faucet, and the vegetable sprayer are good. Garbage disposal, working and sounding good. Countertops, no issues. We are missing some door handles, like on the Lazy Susan here. There's no way to really open it. And on that drawer up there, we don't have any way to open this drawer. You know? Once you do open it, you'll realize that all the other handles are in there and they weren't installed. But the stove and the oven were working good. This is a dual door oven, so you can open up the top or open up the whole thing. So this is, I believe, a scratch and dent because this whole control panel is really loose. shouldn't be quite that loose. Every time I close the oven door, it vibrates and shakes up here. But it was working, bottom and top. They don't have an anti-tip device back there, which would prevent the stove from tipping over if anybody were to jump on the front of it. Now you can tell it's a remodel and they didn't plan everything out because half your outlet is now blocked. Don't worry, you still have 1, 2, 3, 4 of them in the kitchen here, so if you want to plug in some things on the island or on the countertop, you sure can. From the 80s, remember, so this is not GFI protected. None of them. Outlets are a little bit loose. Not bad. So we got some issues here. The microwave itself was working just fine. They removed the duct going outside. I don't think there ever was a duct. So this is from 2021. Replaced, was working good, but it blows back into the house. So yeah, you just didn't line that up very good. Just didn't work out very well. Also another one of those that I didn't point out underneath the sink here. Missing a switch plate cover on that outlet as well. So we need to cover that up, especially down here in this wet area, so we don't have water jumping in and out of that electrical outlet, right? Got to keep it out of there. So the fridge is working. I think the fridge is a scratch and dent as well. I believe it's a scratch, dent. A couple of them on here. I do want to point out that the water was not hooked up, so I'm not going to be able to test it. And then the plastic piece that goes around the connection there, it's not sealed properly. So if any of this gets wet, we want to keep the water inside the house, not going back in the wall. So we want to seal that gap up. Plug this thing in and give it a shot. Make sure it works and functions. All of it inside. There is an ice maker in there, so yeah, they did their work on their cabinets here, right? They didn't paint everything back up. We're missing a screw here, missing a screw here. They put them in some locations, just not all the locations. They did a good cabinet screw right there. Those are the ones with the shoulder on them, so I like to see those. If we go over to these two cabinets here, they've got the same type of screw with the shoulder, 246. But then on this side, what are we doing? How are we connecting them? 1, 2 regular screws, like sheetrock screws, wood screws. 3, 4. So it's, oh wait, no, there's another one up there in the corner. 5. So we just got 5 randomly placed screws, and I don't think you're hitting any studs because, yeah, doubtful. Can you see how wide open that window is right there? That's a broken seal. And just looking at the cabinets here, doesn't look very level, does it? Got a little bit of a gap there, not so much at the bottom. Ay, ay, ay. So this door as well, a little squeaky, but the weather stripping has to be updated. They painted this, it became hard, it's compressed, so it doesn't actually touch the door. There's a gap there still, so we need to fill that gap in with some new weather stripping. Maybe repaint some areas here. Missing an outlet cover on that. And in the garage here, got the water heater that is electric. No gas on the property today. TPR valve is not hooked up at all. TPR connection is over here, so somebody's got to route that pipe down here. Now this was just installed, September 24. 50 gallon, no pan underneath of it. I'd like to see the pan with a drip down here, so if any of this drips, it goes down to that surface. We're looking at a dark spot on the floor. I don't think it's water, I think it's some type of oil or staining. Looking around for termite tubes. So in the garage, this is a nice proper fire rated door, right? This is a nice heavy door. That's why they had big hinges on here. You pulled off the nice big hinges and put on a door that, this hinge doesn't even match this door. What the hell? No, that one doesn't look good either. And that one's off. Look, here's a serial number for the door, but got a crack all the way through the door jamb right here, so I'm gonna need some repair. Attic hatch up here, we're gonna stick our head up there, but it is loose. I'd like to see that sealed up a little bit better. And for the laundry system here, we don't have any machines to test, but we can tell that they did some patching here. My guess is that they use spackle because you can see how much it's dried out and cracked out instead of using proper mud. But they sprayed the crap out of the electrical outlet here. So whatever you plug into there, probably the wash machine or the dryer, well, the wash machine, it's got a possibility of creating some sparks because you're not pushing that in all the way, because now you have crap preventing your plug from going in all the way. Now on the drain connections and the laundry hookup, they sprayed the crap out of these too. There's rust and corrosion built up in here, but then you spray all these inlets with all this mud, texture. What do you expect me to say? Replace them. And not much of a choice at this point. Probably didn't have to replace them until you sprayed mud on them, but you know. The other thing, this vent goes outside, but where's the electrical hookup for the dryer? Where's the plug-in for the dryer? There's no plug-in. So the electrical panel, we're missing a breaker, missing a kick out there, knock out, and we got a wide open space here on the side. Anybody could reach in there and grab some wires. Missing a screw on the front of it too. This is why we do this. We pull this rock away because in areas where it's pushed up, usually means that they're trying to hide something. Right? I already found what they're trying to hide right here. That was pretty obvious. I found it on the inside because I saw some damage on the drywall. So they were trying to cover this up. Whoever put this rock in here, for sure. Try and get a good look at the stem wall the best we can in certain areas. Yeah, you can see they took these blocks out of here. Probably retaining some moisture in this area, so they removed it. Just got a bunch of rock, backfilled it in here. Tried to cover that up, but no, there's termites. No, we were just on the other side of this wall, and now we're going to go into the garage. I'm going to show you what I found when I was in here. So it doesn't really look like any termite damage, right? You don't see any termites, there's no big bunches of wood, but you see these little trails? They never got filled in when they did the sheetrock. Those are little places where the termites have tunneled, left a tube. The tube got knocked down, but they forgot to fill in the termite trail. So that's the only one I see right now, but this is fresh paint. I'm gonna get up in the attic above this, see what that looks like. Yeah, not touching that guy. Speaking of the dryer vent, I wanted to show you guys, this goes in and then it goes up. So this goes in and then it goes up into the wall. But right out here on the outside of the wall is where it connects to. So I thought it went up and out through the roof, but it actually comes in or out of this area right here. You can see that's plumb full of crap. I mean, plumb full of crap. Because, yeah, I don't know if I can get in there any farther, but that doesn't look good at all. That looks like a wall. It doesn't look like a... I don't think that's your actual dryer vent anymore. I think that's been abandoned. Right? Yeah. Alright, so I guess it does go up to the roof. We've been having issues with water leaving this area, so we do have a drain over there. I don't have very good drainage or grading away from the house. You can see all the settlement that has occurred here, where this has dropped down. Yeah, a little bit of a drop is normal, but it wasn't supposed to be that big of a drop right at the curb. That doesn't make any sense. And they've stuck some foam up under the weep screed, try to fill up the gaps. Look at all the gaps up here on the roof though. Look at how wide that is. It doesn't get built that way. You know, some of these gaps actually get wider over time as the house moves, the house settles. Some of these gaps will expose themselves, make them bigger. Oh, that thing looks pretty damaged. Looks like they glued it back together. Alright. So just a little tip here, the grass is growing. It's the only place it's growing because moisture, you got a irrigation leak. Hose bib dripping, but this is another area I want to get down here and look. Make sure we don't have any termite tubes because this is concealed and wet. But I don't see any on the stem wall there, it looks good. We can actually see some of the irrigation from the neighbors that's coming through. All this efflorescence in areas. Getting some of the surface of the concrete block is actually falling off, and then you get grass growing down here, so it's getting irrigated somehow, and it's not on this side of the wall. A little more irrigation here, some foliage. It's a big backyard though. Huge backyard. Budweiser's. Somebody was partying back here. But that's the back side of our house. Needs quite a bit of paint. More grass. What's keeping it growing? Fruit trees on the other side of the wall. So we do like to point out these cap blocks when they're loose, because we just don't want them to fall on anybody's head. So you just stick some mortar down there or some liquid nails, something like that works good. The gate is functional, but you can see it's rubbing a lot on the floor. The wooden part has rotted off and it's sitting up here. Then this whole thing is loose. The whole pilaster needs to be re-secured against the house to keep it from moving. So what I'm seeing on this garage is possibly a little bit of heaving on the right side of the slab here. You can see the right side is raised up there about a ½ inch. And we've got some movement over here that conveys or shows up here. You can see it's shifted. Everything's moved up there. And we have some wide gaps around here between the slab and the stem wall. It's a much wider gap here than it is back here. So you can see we've likely had some movement of the slab lifting up a little bit, and that shifted this wall. Everything's moved around just a tad. It's not the end of the world, but what we need to do is stop moisture from getting under the slab and making this worse. So possible areas of moisture, water heater, put a pan under there, get that water out of there if it does leak. Laundry, you don't want that to leak. And then we have improper grading and drainage over here on the side. So we're locking everything in here. We've got some settlement here because of the moisture. Too much moisture here has caused this to settle. It's likely caused that to settle as well. So a good solution to this would be to run some gutters up here, get the water off, somehow get it to drain out to the street. We want it to drain off the property and away from the slab so we don't have problems like this again. You can see some of the deterioration of the stem wall here. You still have the metal piece stuck to the stem wall. But on the inside of the wall, I don't see hardly any damage. We look at the sheetrock gap right there. Compared to the frame, you've got a little over a ½ inch there, maybe a third of an inch. And then it disappears as you go up. So we've had some movement here. Likely more movement with the slab than anything else. But when it does lift up, you'll see cracks. You'll see slab cracks. People will say, well, that's normal because the slab's supposed to crack in the you know, a lot of people say expansion joints are supposed to crack, and they are supposed to crack. it's better that it cracked here than crack all over your concrete. You see there's no expansion joints up here. What happened? The concrete cracked. The concrete cracked because we didn't have any type of expansion joint to allow for that movement like we do here. So this is normal. This is what should happen, but it's also indicating that we've had excessive moisture under the slab. Didn't need to be like that, but it's okay that it happened like that. Termites, moisture, it's a big deal. Remember the gaps around the soffit vents I was talking about? Huge gap over there. That's just gonna let pass, and look, it's got water standing on it too, so it's been leaking. Rats love those holes. That's a good place for rats to get in. Look at all that damage that's occurred right there on that hole above that area. Let's try and get a closer look at that. So this is a roof transition right here that started to leak both down at the corner at the soffit and up here at the junction. So this is one of the reasons we're bringing termites in this area. All right there is where we had termites below us. So the electrical panel, you can see all those wires coming up, that's from the electrical panel. Right now I'm not seeing any termite tubes, but when I stepped on this board, yeah, look at that. Tell me we don't have termites up here. So I gotta be careful on what I'm on here because I don't know which other ones are infested. See this infestation starts about right here on this board. And it goes back a little bit farther in here. Yeah. So likely they came through this board. There's a tube. It's down in there, but definitely have some termite damage on a lot of these boards up here. So this is kind of why it's beneficial to have a home inspector who also does termites, because most of your termite inspectors aren't going to come up here in the attic unless they have a really good reason for it. I don't know what all this gunk is back here, but I think it has to do with dirt and termites. Oh yeah, I can't put any weight on this board. Look at this. Look at all those little dots. Oh man, the whole bottom of this board is falling off. Yeah, just crumbling underneath me. Hey, that's just mud, just gunk. There's going to be quite a few framing members that you're probably going to need to replace. This isn't an actual framing member, but it is rather important. You can, yeah, they're all over on the bottom of this board. So hey, we found them. Found them up here. They are still active somewhere else too, because I can see them going up the tunnel, but that's where they're coming in at, up here in this corner. And see, this is just your old wood that's sweating So sometimes you can mistake it for the termites popping their heads out the wood, but if you just look at the color, it's pretty easy to tell. This is brown. Hey, look, the dryer duct does go up to the roof. So it does go into the wall down here. And that other one has been abandoned. Now these wires like this, they come in a cable, a sheath, for a reason. It's protected from damage on sharp objects, even the junction box itself. We don't have any protection right there. See how they open that up? And if these wires just keep rubbing around on that, eventually that's going to rub a little cut in that line, and they have this wire run all the way over the attic. So it's unprotected. So I'm taking a look around at a few things up here at on the roof. Beautiful day here in Phoenix. It's like 78 degrees out. Looking at the chimney here, got some open stucco spots right at the roof, right at the top of the chimney cap here. Where do you think water is going to go? It's going to go right down inside that. On the roof itself, it's seen better days. It's not terrible, but we're seeing some of the fiberglass shininess poke through. Missing a shingle right there. Some of the mastic around the plumbing vents needs to be cleaned up, resealed. Here's the skylight that got painted on the inside. We always look around for superficial cracks or any leaking on the top side of it. That's where all the water is going to come from. This is from an old evap cooler. It still have water. That's froze up. Oh, it was wide open. Okay. So the air conditioners from 2017. Didn't really put a very good boot around this. Water is just going to travel down this conduit, go right into that electrical line right there. We did get the condensate line off the roof, but we have a bunch of bird debris in there. And the electrical wires for the thermostat are coming up through another hole. And this is your old condensate line. Used to drain into the bathroom downstairs, but luckily they abandoned it. We like to see it going off the roof. So this is a rooftop package mounted unit. It's a heat pump, 2017. 60 divided by 12, it's 5. 2017 right there. Then we just look through, it's 410A coolant. Those are the biggest numbers that we're looking for as home inspectors. We're looking for the size, the age, looking for any obvious problems with the unit itself. And you can see where the birds have like to nest up here. They just break the stuff off with their feet, their beaks all day long. And this is what needs to be updated for sealant. Sealant around those jacks need to be cleaned up a little bit. Yeah, I don't think this is going to work very good for an exterior door kick plate threshold. How's the door going to seal? How are you going to seal that door on that floor when it's flat? Like that. So the door is going to slide right over that flat surface, and then there's going to be a huge gap there. So big problem. Probably not the best way to install garage door trim. Just a bunch of screws. All those screws could leak water into that wood. So when I was up on the roof, I was talking about that wood below that window touching the roof surface. That's where we're getting all of our damage from. Right in there, that's where the water is soaking into the roof, right in that corner, and we're getting that water staining. And then right at this front corner is where the termites are going up into the attic and traversing across the attic floor in that area. Well, that ain't gonna work. I guess I probably shouldn't use their towels to plug it either. Anyway, we've got some problems. So we're gonna need somebody to come in here and correct all this anyway. I'd love to do the shower drain stop test and fill this full of water, see it being that it's brand new, but we already know there's problems with it. I'm going to recommend my client have somebody evaluate this. We still have water in here. It's been about an hour and a half. It's still wet. So Everardo is going to show up here pretty soon, and we're going to start going over some of the stuff with this client. You know, it's a house from the 80s. It's had some termites. This is pretty typical for Arizona. What we need to do is try to control that moisture and the ventilation. That was a big deal in the 80s that we weren't paying attention to, is runoff and settlement and getting all the water directed away from the foundation and adding ventilation into the bathrooms, GFI protection into the bathrooms, kitchen, garage. Those things I'd like to see upgraded. Now, I'm not a code inspector, so I'm going to make the recommendation. Whatever my client decides to do, that's what they're going to do. But there's a few things here, man. You know, negotiate properly. That's why we get an inspection. That's why I give you a big old report so you can nitpick and do some negotiations with it. So thanks for watching, guys. Just another beautiful home inspection in Arizona. Can't complain. But if you guys need any home inspection services in Arizona or anywhere in the state, just let me know. We'll work something out. I know a lot of inspectors both here in Phoenix and the Valley. Maybe I can't get to one, but I can help you find somebody that can. So let me know. HomeInspectorDan.com, PropertyInspectionsPlus.com. Either way, you'll get a hold of me. Thanks for watching, guys. You know, this time of year it gets dark pretty quick, so they're going to show up a little bit after 5. We'll get to look at as much as we can in the house, but there's definitely some issues going on here. I can hear the dishwasher not wanting to fill up with water right now, so we're going to go turn that off. But yeah, you can see where the water is still ponding. It's not good for a new shower again. So it sure looks to me like you're missing some insulation up in the attic. Got a 3-degree temperature difference between the wall and the ceiling in here. You can just see how yellow that looks. Seen a lot of the rafters up there. Trying to compare it to the other bedroom ceiling. The other bedroom ceiling, it's about that 70 degrees, 69, 70 degrees. Then in this bedroom, the ceiling is 72. It's a couple degrees off from the other bedroom, and it should be pretty identical. Shouldn't see that big of a difference, I don't think. Now this is the west side of the house, so probably gonna get a little bit more in this bedroom than that bedroom for heat from the sun, especially in the afternoon. Yeah, my first idea was that it was the bathroom leaking here, but your bathtub is right below those windows, because that's the only ventilation you have for that bathroom. And I don't think the water went all the way past this other bedroom on this side and started leaking right here above the garage. So there's some issues going on with the roofing material right there that was causing some leaks. Causing settlement down here as well. So we gotta get a gutter put on here. Get that water out of here. That would alleviate some of the moisture in this area and stop some of the settlement from happening on the ground. You can really see how it's lifted up now. So that right side is elevated. It's heaved a little bit. Goes down almost all the way to the end, and then it gets flat again. As we go out towards the door, does about the same thing. Still lifted up. So it's rising mainly in the middle here. Not to be any stupider about these fans, but see those 2 pull cables up there? Nobody's ever going to be able to grab it. That's 10 feet off the ceiling, 10 feet off the floor. But also you have a dimmer control switch. That's the only thing that controls that fan. So you need to put proper switches in here that you can actually turn that fan light on and off, because the only thing that this switch is doing right now is controlling the fan. And a dimmer switch shouldn't control a fan because this can overheat the switch itself. Again, another problem. You can even see the termite damage in the trim board down here that they tried to just putty up. That's just all putty. I mean, that is nothing but caulking. Take it back. Spackle. Still